All right, switching now to the hardwood to talk basketball in the SportsMax Zone. The governing body for the sport in the land of wood and water, the Jamaica Basketball Association, JABA, has been building significant momentum in recent months as they eye a first-time qualification for the 2027 FIBA World Cup, starting with the Americas pre-qualifiers from August 8 to 10. Also on the agenda is a spot at the 2028 Olympic Games set for Los Angeles. Now, with these ambitious targets, the association has secured the services of 2019 NBA champion Norman Powell of the Los Angeles Clippers and has been heavily courting the rising starlet pair of twin brothers, Asir and Amen Thompson of the Detroit Pistons and Houston Rockets, respectively. The duo made an appearance this past Sunday at the launch of JABA's GoFundMe campaign aimed at transforming grassroots basketball development across the country, and spoke openly about the possibility of suiting up for the Jet Rockers in the future.
Since I was a kid, I used to watch the Olympics and see Usain Bolt, Blake, and I always was like, Jamaica always represented gold medal culture to me. And it's always been like a dream. I always wanted to see a basketball team. I always wanted to picture, basketball players with the Jamaica jersey on, and I've always wanted to wear one too. So just getting the opportunity, I could either play for USA, Jamaica, but being able to be here and even it be an option, means a lot to me.
Definitely means a lot, and something, I would be open to doing 1,000%. Just the culture, like he said, gold medal culture since I was a kid. And the only time I got to see the basketball team was a good friend of mine, Josh Minot, played for them a couple years ago, but that's the first time I've seen people wearing the Jamaican basketball jerseys. So, just to be able to rep that, that would mean a lot.
Now, President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, stressed the importance of JABA and the JOA being in one accord given their ambitious plans.
Paulton has made a commitment that he will cement that union. And the Jamaica Olympic Association is very pleased to be a part of this, Paulton. Because we always say, as we say in biblical terms, a family that prays together stays together. A family that plays together will stay together. And these gentlemen are of the soil, because you are of the soil. And therefore we welcome you with open arms, gentlemen, as members of the Olympic family. Can I say that, Paulson, instead of the basketball family? Because basketball, and then the next level is the Olympic Games. And LA is just around the corner. And therefore we are building the infrastructure, which is not only the physical infrastructure, but the human capital of sport. We will be there in LA, not only for track and field, but I have absolutely no doubt that we'll be there for basketball. Because the aspirations that we have as a governing body, the aspirations that you have as athletes and basketball players, must now come together in a unifying force that will create on the international scene.
Yeah, the great lyricist there, Christopher Samuda, the president of the Jamaica Olympic Association. Now, to further expound on the exciting prospects of Jamaica's basketball is JABA President Paulton Gordon, who is with us on set. Mr. Gordon, it's a pleasure to have you on the SportsMax Zone. So many questions, so many questions. But I'll start
let's limit
here.
them to a few.
Yeah, but I'll start here because the last project that Sidela Marley was involved with was an extremely successful project, and that was the Reggae Girls qualifying for the FIFA World Cup, first in 2019 and then in 2023. And now she is an ambassador for the Jamaica Basketball Association, and you've embarked on this ambitious project of getting to the 2027 World Cup and the 2028 Olympic Games. First of all, how did you get Sidela on board for this ambitious project?
All right. Well, clearly, Sidela has a blueprint. Yeah. And we want to be a part of that approach that she has taken with the Reggae Girls. 2 years ago, we were in touch with Sidela, trying to work to get involved with basketball. Luckily, her son, Sian, has dabbled around basketball and has played. So we had a few meetings, and she indicated that she wants to support what we are doing, and she likes what we are doing. So she started by supporting our NBL or female national...
And that's the National Basketball
National
League.
Basketball League, the female national AmeriCup team, and also our Star Search camp. So that relationship has been building. So over the last year and a half, we have nurtured that relationship. And now she came to us and said she wanted to take the next step. She likes the platform that she sees, and she wants to take the next step. So the dialogue had started in terms of the next step late last year, early this year, in terms of what are those moves that we need to make.
Yeah. How ambitious is this project that you are undertaking? You're trying to get to the World Cup, something Jamaica has never achieved in basketball. You're trying to get to the Olympic Games, something Jamaica has never achieved in basketball.
Well, what I've said to my team is that we are trying to build on both legs. We know that there's not enough basketball being played at the grassroots level. There's no primary school league. All the more successful sport, there's a platform, a foundation. So one of the things that excited Sidela about this was that the fact that we wanted to reach 60 new schools in another 2 or 3 years, primary school, so that we have a foundation. 85% of the kids who transitions into high school start playing basketball at 11 and 12 years old. That can't work. Concurrently, what we want to do is to ensure that the visibility is there, the awareness is there around Jamaican basketball. Hence, we're trying to bring some star power to this. AJ DeBansa was here. Aliyah Edwards, WNBA, was here. The Thompson twins are here. And Devin Vassell is coming for a camp. That's the San Antonio Spurs. He's coming for a camp in another 4 weeks. Andre Drummond will be coming. So we are bringing the star power to shine the light on Jamaica basketball so that the support can come and we can tackle both ends simultaneously.
And you're not just bringing the star power to, let's say, inspire the next generation, but you're trying to bring the star power to come and play now.
Absolutely. It's a little bit of a challenge in some regard because I think you're probably aware of the FIBA rule, which states that if you acquire your Jamaican passport or whatever passport you have after the age of 16, there is a limited amount of persons that can use on a particular squad. So we have persons who are eligible already. Nick Richards, we have Josh Minot, who's at Timberwolves, and we have Norman Powell, who probably will be the one person who is naturalized after the 16. So we want him to be the anchor of all of this. We have submitted some appeals to FIBA because when I spoke to the General Secretary, he said, look at it case by case and we'll analyze it because they want to ensure that the persons are connected in a developmental way to the sport in your country if they are going to approve them to play for your country. So while the window is there, it's not a broad or open window. So we have looked at a few players and we are making the appeals and hopefully it falls in our favor.
So essentially you are attempting to make a case to the governing body FIBA that these players, while they did not acquire their Jamaican passports before 16,
absolutely,
the connection is strong in these various ways, including the fact that they are giving back and willing to give back to the sport in Jamaica. Is there any precedence for situations like that where FIBA has sided with national associations that you are aware of?
I've heard of a few cases. The closest one would be probably like Bahamas. There's a case in Bahamas that they allowed, and Argentina was a little bit, antsy about it. Yes. But I just came back from the FIBA Congress, and there's a huge lobby. The Philippines have 3 or 4 players who are in the NBA who can play for Philippines. Ivory Coast have some French players. And there are about 3 or 4 countries. So the lobby has started. It's picking up momentum. And I'm hopeful that in another year or 2, there might be some adjustment to the rules. But despite that, we are moving right ahead.
Yeah, and Mr. President, how important is it that these players that would have played at the highest level in a professional setup are integrated into the Jamaican setup to, of course, uplift the overall quality of basketball?
Absolutely, that's what we want. We have seen it at the under-17 level. When we bring our overseas players to participate in the U17 FIBA competitions, you can see a clear gap between those that are established and our players that are local-based. And they then start to aspire as to what is required. The very same thing we want to do for the senior teams. We'll be having a trial 5th and 6th of July. We'll have a training camp where we'll have some local players, some of the international players playing together for 6 or 7 days before we select our final squad for the pre-qualifiers. So it's the start of the movement, and we're hoping that this can trigger a lot more in terms of what we want for development.
And how's the financial support? Because to do any big thing, you need a lot of money.
Well, with the star power comes the star monies. So the good thing about that, Cedella says she's 100% behind this. She wants to see us get far. We have reached out to Jamaica Tourist Board, said they're behind this. The GOA said they're behind this. The Minister of Sports, Minister Green, says she's behind this. We are now reaching out to corporate, and we are getting some good signals there. Nothing tied up. They are verbalized, but we have, in terms of a contractual agreement, we haven't got to that point. We're still trying to get a apparel sponsor. One of our contacts says that's pretty close. And ideally, we'd want to have an airline partner, because if we get, what are you saying, Paul Tan? When we get past August, it's now time for windows. And the windows are similar to what happens in FIFA
Yes.
football. Yeah. So November, next February, next June, and the final window is November of 2026.
Yeah, Jamaica Olympic Association president, we just heard him boldly predicting qualification for global competition, Olympics and World Championships and so on. But could you just briefly outline the qualification process? Because at the moment, Jamaica are ranked outside the top 100 in the world and 22nd in the Americas. So if we look at the rankings, they aren't positioned to be, challengers to qualify. But based on the boosting of the quality of your squad, I suspect that you would want to not look at these rankings and just prepare the team with the best players possible.
I'm going to ignore those rankings.
Yes.
We are ranked that low because we haven't been involved in full court competitions for a while. Yes. And you're going to slip down the rankings if that happens. As you rightly say, we now have players of the caliber that can take us to a certain level. This first phase, there are 8 teams in 2 zones. One group will be playing in Mexico, one group will be playing in Chile. The top 2 teams then advance to the group stage. 16 teams, the seeded teams, in 4 groups. And then the top 2 teams in each of those groups then have a round of 8 playoff. And the top 3 qualifies for World Cup initially. Still a little bit of gray area in terms of what happens from there for the following year for Olympics.
Yes.
But we're working that through.
Okay. I know the Dominican Republic are pretty highly ranked. They are ranked 18th in the world. The Bahamas are significantly higher ranked than Jamaica is, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, I think, ranked 54, or they're very highly ranked, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
But they're not in this round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the pre-round.
Yeah.
They're in the first round.
No, they're not. The U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yes.
They should have been in the qualifiers, but they're been recently replaced by Barbados. So I'm not sure what's happening there. When I went to the Congress, that's what I heard.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was just looking at the other Caribbean, English-speaking Caribbean countries and the Dominican Republic as our neighbors, as neighboring islands that we would say that you would project as the main teams that you would look forward to from the Caribbean to be potentially strong in these qualifiers. But congratulations on the good work that you've been doing, Paulton.
Appreciate it.
On the Jamaica Basketball Association. 7 years now into the job as president, and we're all eyes watching the progress.
Appreciate it. And I must say thanks to the partners and supporters who have been there with us. And there was a gap for 2 years because of COVID, and then we had to pick it up from there. So we're pretty happy with where we are now.
Okay, break time. Thanks a lot, Paulton Gordon, president of the Jamaica Amateur Basketball Association, sitting in with us and talking about the big plans that the Jamaica team has to boost the quality of its squad to challenge for global competition, World Cup and the Olympic Games. We go to break. We'll be back with some cricket after this.